Hello everyone, this is Professor. As promised, I'm recording a video for lesson number 1. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to class apps and then you're going to click on the class app. Again, you need to know your username and your password. I have no access to your password, so if you need to reset it, please reach out to the IT department. After you have done that, you needed a Windows 10. So you click on Windows 10. It's going to take a little longer when you're doing it, but that's what waiting is something we have to do at this point. When they say that click OK to grant the permission to use the full screen, I normally say cancel because I want to see my class app desktop and also want to see my computer desktop. So I'm going to say cancel. If you I don't know if my keyboard my screen goes at the bottom, you will see two screens. One is for the desktop and one is for your own computer and your class app desktop. So I always say that the blue screen is your class app, and I guess the darker screen will be your computer desktop. So we're gonna let the system do its thing, and the first thing you're gonna be doing is when you're here, you just wait till everything is done. At the right side, you will get a message that the balance is due. When that comes, normally the system is ready to do things. So I'm going to close that, and then you're going to go to the start button, not the blue screen start button. It's at the first one. So I'm just going to do a first one. You go down, and then you're going to click on MSQL Server 2019. Then you're going to click on the first one. When you expand it, the first one is MSQL Server Management Studio 18. This is the first thing you have to do every time you use Sage 300. So let's see, it's going to start. So we're going to say okay. The system could be a little slow, but we have to be patient. When you are here, you're going to get this screen. So you're going to have a drop down window. When you do a drop down window, you're going to say browse for more. And then your first one is database engines. You're going to expand that. When you expand that, click on your third one. So the third one from the list. So I will say okay. So it should say class app 46. Class apps. So if this is class app, you have to copy this. You could do Control C, or you can do a right click and copy. Then you go to the next one, the next one drop down window. You're going to pick on SQL. Your login here is SA. Your password is, if you look at it, it is SQL Server. So how you're going to spell it is right at the top, SQL SERVER. It is all lower cases, so everything is lower cases. So we're going to say okay. Once you have done that, you're going to click on your database, right click to get your new database. Once you get the new database, your database name will be OMN system. First one is your system. You're going to change this to 6. Don't add it, say okay. Then you go click again. Then you're going to say new database, OMNDAT, and this is going to be 6, and I will say okay. So now if I expand it, before you go, you should have 2. One is going to be OMN date and OMN sess, almond sess, almond data. So I'm going to close this window. We did the first step. The second step is to set up a database. How do we set up a database? You go click on Sage 300, click on database setup. this user ID is admin and my password here will be admin. It will be lower letters ADMIN. I will say okay. You need to delete them. You don't need to go click here and delete. All I have to do is delete, yes, delete, yes. So once you do that, you're going to click on new. My first one is OMN sys, Omen sys. I will say okay, and now I'm going to Control V to paste it here. SA for a login, SQL SERVER, and the database is exactly the same thing what we have at the top, OMN SYS, and I will say okay. New again, we're going to have OMN DAT. Leave everything the way it is. I will say okay. Again, you're going to server is going to be Control V. Your login is, so I put it in twice. Sorry, I think I pressed it too hard. I'm just going to do Control V once. My login is SA. My password is SQL SERVER. My database is whatever is at the top, OMNDAT. And I wanted to change the description of it. Description of the is the name of the company. So Omni Electrical Supplies Limited. Then I'm going to say okay. So you're going to have two, Omni Data and Omni Sys. So I will exit here. Now I'm ready to do my first lesson. In order to do a lesson, I have to go to Sage 300. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Sage 300 here. So the system is getting ready to do that. So this is my system. My password is admin. The date I am using for this purpose is 01/01/2023. Make sure you have the right date. Don't use today's date. Use that date. I will say okay. And then you're going to get this message the first time you're setting up a company. Proceed. And then my fiscal start year is fiscal year starting date is 01/01/2023. This one is my Omni Data, and I am going to add my first name because when I wanted to print my names, 765, and it is a John Street. John Street is located in Toronto. This address is in your book, but I don't have my book on you. I'm doing it from my memory, and this is in Ontario, and we are M6S3M2. I don't know if this is the right one. It doesn't really matter, the postal code. So my country is in Canada. The name is my first name, my last name. Then we have to do is we want to put it in a phone number, and this phone number is 416-604-111. You go to the next one, 416-604-112. Again, this is not the exact in other words, if you have a company, you will be putting company's information here. Don't say okay. You're gonna tab to the options at the top. In a year, there's 12 months, and the company that we're dealing with, they are going to be using a Canadian company, and I will say select okay. So that's when this is the first thing you're going to be doing is getting up the thing. The second thing you're going to be doing is you wanted the system to remind you when the payment is, so you will be asked to do this. So if I go on my schedule and there's nothing for schedule, what I wanted to do is I wanted to go to the schedule and I wanted to set a schedule, and in this case we wanted to set up a monthly schedule, MONTHLY. Description is monthly, and then it is for all user or Pacific users. We wanted to keep it simple. We want it for all the users. So you want the system to remind you before the revenue, before the invoice is due, or before the payment is due. We wanted you to be 3 days before, and the start date will be the end of the month, and it will be a monthly. If your code is monthly, this will be monthly. If your code is weekly, this will be a weekly. And then you're going to go on the last day of the month, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it. So once you add it, and I'm going to close it, if I go to my reminder list, now it is going to be showing under your reminder list, under the all personals. That's where it's going to be reminder, and I'm going to say okay. Once you have done that, I also wanted to take you to the physical calendar year. The company, if the physical calendar year, I'm just waiting for the system to bring this up. Okay, it's saying I have to get the other system ready. So now now I have done everything that we needed to do for the lessons. So if you look at on the left side, I have administrative services, common services, and visual process services. Now I needed to activate my general ledger module. How do I activate it? Click on the administrative services, and then you click on the data activation. You click on yes, click on proceed, and then you're going to see general ledger 7.0. That's the one you're going to click on next once, next twice, click on activate. When you activate it, you will see on the left side the general ledger version. General ledger will be ready. So we are going to be doing setup, reports, and all those things. So now if I don't have anything yet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, where was I? Under the common services, if I go to my physical calendar year, now this calendar is going to be active. When you look at the fiscal year, what does that tell you? That we are working with 23 years and there is 12 months in there. So that's what we're looking at it, the 12 months. And this is company's profile, which we already created it. We also had the option that we done. So now the other thing we learned here was the optional field. Optional field is company has 4 regions. So this is the regions, and when you do it, it's going to be customer, and vendor. Regions. When you do that, your first one is we have north, east, west, and south. So let's do east, and east is eastern region. Then if I go to the next, if the tab doesn't work, you have an insert button on your keyboard. That's the button you're going to press. So next one is, let's say if I say west, it is western region. G-I-O-N, I can't even spell. See, I can't go to the next one. You're going to get the insert button. I'm going to find my insert button. I have insert button. No. I have my other keyboard, so you're going to press the insert button, and that will be your north region, and that is northern region. Go to the next one. Now it's automatically going to put it in alphabetic order. So we have a south, and that is southern region. So I'm gonna, and the other thing is I wanted to change the length of it. Let's add it, and then I can change the length. Length should be 12. I should have done it earlier, but sometimes it doesn't work. I just forgot to do that. So now if something becomes gray, we should have done it before it becomes gray, so we cannot change it. For the book, your book tells you to do the length to be 12. So before you move on to do the east, you should change the length to 12. That's the only, but it doesn't, you can leave it 16, nothing happens. I will close it. Once you have done, this is lesson 1. Your next step will be to do a dumping. How do you do a dumping? Before I forgot to add a folder on my desktop, the blue desktop. So let's take you to the blue desktop, and I am going to close this. I'm going to I'm going to do a right click. I'm going to do new, and I'm going to say folder. So this folder will be for my lesson number 1. So lesson number 1, that's your folder. So I click on lesson, and then this is where I wanted to save my data file. So you're going to have 4 data files, and I'm going to show you then you're going to go back to your Sage 300. You're going to click on the administrative. There is something called database dump. Double click on the database dump. You're going to do the system first, and then you are going to do your data. You double click on dump, and then the first thing you're gonna I'm just gonna say allow. First thing, you're gonna have a drop down window. The first one I always do is system, and then you're gonna want to browse. When you browse, you wanted to put it where you created the Dropbox, the folder. So I created it here. Don't double click it, just highlight it, say okay, and then say dump, and I will say okay. 16 for the first one. I go one more time. This is my company files, and I will say dump, and this is 90 files. So we close it. Once we dumped it, I close the company. We wanted to exit it. Now this folder that we just created, so we have a folder that we just created that should have 4 files, and the date on that should be the date you're creating it. So then what you're going to do is you are going to go to your file folder, and you make sure you move from the desktop to your H drive. So that's what you're going to be doing. So you're going to go to the right click, and you're going to say copy. You're going to come to here, and then wherever your folder is, wherever you created the folders, you're going to right click and I'm just going to put it in here, and then I'm just going to paste it. So it's going to be somewhere here that it is right here. So but you could organize it according to your according to the course if you wanted to navigate it a little bit easy. So this was lesson number 1. Make sure you complete lesson 1 before you come to the class on Tuesday. I also recommend doing the challenge exercise at the back of chapter 1. That's what you should be doing, the challenge exercise at the back of chapter 1. So I'm going to close this, and this is my recording. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys all in our next class. Take care, and bye for now.